Before I begin, I want to say how very sorry I am to hear of the death of Brother Kevin Crowley, who's passed away. I want to offer condolences to everybody who loved him. Brother Kevin's work at the Capuchin Day Centre is the stuff of legend. He really was a champion for the poor and for everyone who fell on hard times. Without judgment and without exception, he lived for others, and he absolutely changed lives. So we will all feel his loss very greatly. Ireland has lost a great son. Indeed, Cork has lost, his beloved Cork has also lost a true legend. So Oireachtas go raibh anam. Minister, yesterday I was contacted by a mother at her wit's end. She's 2 daughters in college. She told me that she and her husband are just about to cover the costs of that. She talked about the pressure they're under to pay for the accommodation. She likened it to a second mortgage. So this mother could not believe her ears when Minister Lawless announced that government will hike up student fees by €1,000. She asked, where in the name of God do they think we will find an extra £2,000? And thousands of students and their parents are in the same position. Now the worry, the stress, the uncertainty of having to come up with that money. And yesterday my colleague Pierce Doherty twice asked you a very simple question. What will students and their families be asked to pay? Will it be €2,000 or €3,000? And twice you refused to answer. When asked by reporters yesterday if a fee hike is coming, Micheál Martin was dismissive. He talked about budgetary processes instead of being upfront about the bills students and their parents will face in a few weeks. He was clear on one thing, and that is that there will be no cost of living package. He said that clearly, so obviously the fees are going up. And Taoiseach Simon Harris couldn't have been more cavalier. Listen to this. He said, if I was the parent of a child going to college today, I'd be saying, do what happened last year, what happened the year before, and the year before that. Pay in instalments, and let's see where the budget brings us to. Now, how out of touch can you get? We're not talking about a few quid here. We are talking about €1,000 per student. That's a lot of money for families. Parents can't take a wait-and-see approach. They need to know now, and students need to know now, what will they be paying? You're making the choice to hike student fees at a time when working people and families, as you know, are under pressure with soaring prices. Hit left, hit right and centre, with increases in the cost of food, energy bills, childcare, petrol, diesel, and, as you well know, rent. You name it, and it's through the roof. And now you want to add €1,000 hiking college fees into the mix. This is the flippant, casual attitude of a government that has no problem reinstating big pay packages for top brass executives at bailed out banks, no problem doling out cushy pay increases for your record number of junior ministers, but then pleads the poor mouth when it comes to students and their families. A tale as old as time when it comes to Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. So cai an rialtas a bheith unrach le Micheál agus lena Jowley cad a bheith mar talia coláis de acu I bhean for €2,000 no €3,000. Minister, you need to be upfront with students and their families. Dancing on the head of a pin, dodging and refusing to give a straight answer is frankly not acceptable. So I'm going to ask that straightforward question again, and I would like an answer, please. When students are paying their fees for a 2025-2026 academic year, what will it be? €2,000 or €3,000?
Thank you, Deputy MacDonald. Minister Chambers.
Thank you very much, Deputy MacDonald, for your question. And just first of all, I want to echo what you've said about Brother Crowley. I think Ireland has lost a wonderful person, someone who brought incredible care, humility and service to support the most vulnerable in our country, and we thank him for his tireless work, and may he rest in peace, and condolences to all of his family. Just in response to your question, first of all, I acknowledge that for many families there is still pressure in their daily lives. Costs are still high, and what we've said in the formation of this government is that the process around Budget 2026 is that the changes we make will be done in a sustained and permanent way, and that covers all policy areas across government. So in the context of further and higher education, Minister Lawless has engaged and will continue to engage with students, with the stakeholders in that particular sector, and that will form the basis of the options paper on the cost of education, which will inform his work in terms of and the negotiation as part of Budget 2026. And that specific detail will inform him about what's possible and how he wants to prioritise the different measures that can be taken on a permanent and sustained basis. You referenced the measures which were taken last year or indeed the previous year. Those measures were taken on a one-off temporary basis in terms of a cost of living package. And how we're approaching Budget 2026 is trying to take measures which can be made on a permanent basis. And the work around that is happening across government about how different ministers will set their priorities out in the context of the budget negotiation process. And I'll be engaging with Minister Lawless in that context following the Summer Economic Statement and the publication of the National Development Plan. One element of obviously the costs for students is on the student contribution fee, but there's also other elements which can help the affordability for students, whether it's in relation to SUSI grants, income thresholds, reckonable income when it comes to the wider grant system that we have across the further and higher education sector. And I think the work that he's doing now in terms of developing that options paper on the cost of education and what are the best measures that he can make in the context of Budget 2026 to support students and households, that will form the basis of his discussion in the context of the budget. And what we've said is that obviously the work that's happening over the coming weeks will inform the overall allocation which will be made available in the context of current expenditure. But we have had a series of interventions over the last number of years. The average rate of expenditure increase has been 9% over the last number of years. And we have uncertainty around us, and we need to be careful about the broader economic and budgetary context. And that's why we're undertaking careful work within government about setting out what's possible in terms of the interplay between current and capital expenditure, and also the changes that we'll make from a tax perspective as well. And what we're saying as a government is that the measures that we'll make for 26 and onwards will be taken in a budgetary context. We're not taking ad hoc decisions in the month of early July when there's a process to be undertaken, and that happens for all government colleagues across the board. We're cognizant of the pressure that families face, whether it's on third level fees, but also the cost of education in primary and secondary level, the continued cost of childcare, the cost of a whole range of services, and we want to strengthen public services, make them more affordable, and that's the medium-term expenditure framework which we'll set out in the coming weeks, and that will form the basis of the broader negotiation.
Time is up, Minister. Thank you.
So, Minister, you've said a lot there, and you have not answered the question. I mean, it's actually, you're the Minister for Public Expenditure, right? This is actually very straightforward. Is it €2,000 or €3,000? On the basis of what you're saying, and according to the logic of your presentation, I'm assuming it's €3,000. Minister Lawless has announced an increase in student fees to €3,000. You need to get up and confirm that. People are waiting for confirmation. Is it €3,000? Because people have to budget for that, Minister. They can't just produce it out of thin air. And it strikes me as a particularly perverse kind of logic that you present, that in order to bring the cost of education down, you're actually going to hike up the cost of student fees. That makes absolutely no sense. Minister, what do you have against students?
Thank you.
I mean, you're going to hike up their rent, now you're going to hike up their fees, and you don't even have the decency to be clear about it. So, please confirm, will students pay €2,000 or €3,000?
Minister to respond.
What I've said very clearly is that the outlook on this will be informed by what we agree as part of Budget 2026. And I mean, this is the hypocrisy of Sinn Féin when it comes to third level fees, because in the north, Minister Archbold at the time wasn't ruling out hikes in student fees. And then she has said in the context of the financial position that she has to work within that, and that's the same for this government when it comes to budget 2026. When it comes to when it comes to all policy,
Deputy, please.
All basic as that, Mother of God.
All decisions that we'll make for next year will be done in the budget. They'll be done and included in the budget process, and that's the same as has happened in previous years. So that's the context that will inform the outlook for 2026, and that's the same for all policy measures.
Thank you, Minister.
It's decided in the budget.
Thank you, Minister. Deputy Ivana Bacik.